Delighted to be here. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Steve.
Nice to see you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's always tough at the end of the day, isn't it? Where everybody's a little exhausted, but we'll make this interesting. I'll let Karen kick us off, and then we'll get into it.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I'm Karen Whitt with Colliers, and I'm going to be talking today with Steve Weikal from MIT on digital rights. So, Steve, let's just level set. What's the difference between AR and VR?
Yeah, great point. So AR, augmented reality, typically when you put on a headset, VR, virtual reality headset, I can't even get it straight, virtual reality headset. Augmented reality means that the physical world is getting augmented in some way or another. Now, you might argue that even Apple EarPods are an augmented reality experience. We're augmenting the real world. So when we talk about this version of augmented reality, this is the kind of the digital overlay of the physical world, and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's talk about where it's showing up in real estate. Like, where have you seen it show up in the real estate world?
Okay, who knows Pokemon Go? Do you know Pokemon Go? If you have kids, you know Pokemon Go. So Pokemon Go, I think, is a good example of this. And I even brought some visual aids, Karen, just because it's MIT. I don't have more than 300 slides to get through in 20 minutes. So, okay, so we know Pokemon Go. This version of it is with our phone, and you go out and you see a kind of a superimposed image over the physical world. So we all know what that is. Now, keep in mind, this is real estate. This is the physical world, but it's that purple thing that I'm going to grab. But the thing to keep in mind here is that it's showing up elsewhere. Anybody use the Wayfair or the IKEA apps before? This is cool. You can go to the catalog, take a look and see what the chair looks like in your apartment. So that's an apartment with the chair from the catalog, and you tap on it and you buy the chair. Now, what if this happens a little more in the real estate world? How about signage? We're walking down the street, I hold up my phone, I might see certain signs of what's going on in the buildings. That's more of an advertising flavor. And there might be wayfinding. This is a video from Paddington Station. I think it's instructive because this is augmented signage in Paddington Station. These signs aren't actually there. So these are all examples of what augmented reality looks like. We're augmenting the physical world. And one kind of outcome of this, given that this is exploding, is the world could look like this. And I'm not saying this is a good thing, but underneath all of that, there's a building. So you see a bunch of advertisements and a bunch of activity. There is a building underneath that. So what do you think? Do you think the building owner's getting paid for that advertising on the outside? Well, currently not. You're right. Currently not in most cases because this is so new. And let's go back to Pokemon. This is happening on many of your properties already right now, and you don't even know what's happening there. And a couple of implications of that. One is that you're not making any money off of it, and Niantic is making a ton of money off of it. And two, when the kids mob your lobby in the hallway and in the lobby of the building, and somebody breaks an ankle or a leg or an arm, who do you think gets sued? Property owners. They're going to come after the property owners. Niantic's not going to get sued. So now this is going to change. We've got the phone. I'm talking about phones, but we're not far away from glasses. You've read about Meta glasses. Apple's going to drop glasses. Snap's got glasses. So what happens when we start getting information served up on the inside of the glasses? We're not there yet, but what if we are? In the meantime, we talk about these devices. But it's already happening. These are examples of advertising activations on the outsides of buildings. I think this is either the Shard, it might be the Shard, might be WTC. Here's another one. This is a Sephora ad going on. So these are augmented activities going on a physical building. And what's not clear is whether the building owners know this is going on. These are activations happening. Here's one for Ferrari, or excuse me, Lamborghini, got the wrong brand. And that's a real building, but it's an augmented, you can see this through your phone going on. And lastly, this is notable because it's Mattel and it's Barbie and it's the Burj Khalifa, and right there in Dubai, iconic building, advertising going on, unclear whether the Burj Khalifa or Emaar are actually making money on this. So I throw those out there as examples. We refer to that as digital rights. This is like an air right, this is like a mineral right, this is like a land right. This is a digital right that in our future, it's going to matter to property owners.
Yep. And we have seen some of this show up at our buildings where the clients have not been aware. So let's talk a little bit about so there's probably a reward factor. Right now, people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in New York and other cities for billboards. But what's the risk if you're a property owner and you're not paying attention to your digital rights? Now, I will tell you, Colliers, we have signed, we have about 600 million square feet we manage in the US. We've had our top 70 office buildings have actually signed to protect their digital rights and look to monetize them. But what do you think is going to happen?
So first of all, it's the protection part. So you just want to first of all monitor and protect, know what's going on your building, be aware of that. If it is going on and you don't like it, I mean, you can think of the scenarios. If you're Coca-Cola's world headquarters in Atlanta and Pepsi is running augmented reality, augmented ads on your building and it's hitting social media, what's the irony in that, right? So you're not going to be happy if you're Coca-Cola. You may choose to not have anything on your building. You want to keep it clear. So really, as a property owner, you want to know. That's one element. And feel free to jump in because you have different versions of this. But the other one I can think of is, what about if you're in retail and Sephora has a store in the center court and they decide to do some activation that's out in the middle of the center court? If they did it with banners and, I don't know, a dancing bear show in the lobby, they would have to get approval from the property owners. But now they can do this quickly, efficiently, and inexpensively, and suddenly it gets out on social media and this is going on in your building and you don't even know what's going on. So there's some danger where you have crowd control and people getting injured. You have competition where Coke's advertising on Pepsi's world headquarters or McDonald's and Burger King. Was that kind of what you were?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we certainly saw during the initial Pokemon years ago that we had people going to sites, they weren't spending any money in the retail sites.
Yeah, there's no upside for the property owner.
Yeah, and they were crawling on top of things to get to certain places. So there was a lot of risk for the property owner. And then that's really now moved into the fact that properties are getting utilized without getting any revenue for it.
Right. And so now I'm assuming you're starting to suggest in leases that the landlord claims control over the digital rights the same way they control over banners and advertising and the whole thing, right?
We are, and we also have some of our tenant rep brokers that are putting into tenants agreements asking for certain rights for advertising.
On the flip side, right?
Because signage is so debated because there's only so much signage you can put on a building. So a lot of smaller tenants are now asking for digital ability to put signage up when that comes into the forefront.
Right. So that if you're a tenant, you're going to want those rights. If you're the owner, landlord, you're going to want to control the rights. So there's going to be a negotiation that goes on the same way with water and air rights and other types of rights.
And the other place it's shown up is a lot of our clients don't necessarily want anything on the buildings. So if they're saying, yes, you can come back to me with different advertisers, we've already precluded ones like alcohol, cigarettes, cannabis, just things that might be of concern. Obviously, political advertising. We've seen that not actually in AR yet, but we've seen it a lot in terms of people are literally just doing old-fashioned lights onto buildings. Beyonce did it in the museum in New York. Yeah. The museum then took advantage of it, but she didn't ask for permission. She just did it for Cowboy Carter.
Yeah. Well, some of the case law actually permits that. So this is a bit of a gray area. This is pretty clear. I call this a digital trespass. This is pretty clear. And we're not talking about free speech here. That's a different conversation. Those of you who are lawyers in the audience, that's a different conversation. But this is just about controlling how my building is used as a commercial vehicle for somebody else to make money. And I can either choose to do it, not to do it. If I am involved in it, I want to control it. I want a piece of the action. That only makes sense. And I think the broader, if we pan out just a bit, everybody in real estate is struggling to find sources of revenue and add value. We think at the center, we look at all of these different technologies. How do they add value to real estate assets? This is a new, very exciting area where we may be unlocking. It's sort of like found money because this is happening. By the way, those ads that I showed you, you can go to www.fooh.com. There are thousands of these things out there already. thousands of them out there already. So we think, you might say, oh, well, this is going to happen in the future. I'll deal with it then. It's already happening.
Yeah, I was actually speaking at a conference at Yale, and this was many years ago, and I brought up, it was Game of Thrones on a building in New York. And as I was speaking, somebody got up in the audience and pushed through a whole row of people and ran out, and I thought he was sick. And afterwards, when I walked out, he stopped me and said, that's my client's building. I'm their attorney. We had no idea that was getting used.
Yeah. It's just a new thing, and we need to get out ahead of it as real estate people. And in this environment where we're looking at different ways to monetize, and I'll speak to that a little bit. We have another expert who's going to talk about how that would work. But we have the browser, right? We have Google and we have browsers, and we know that when we all look at go to Google, we see something different. They know who we are and what it is we're interested in. They serve up a bunch of stuff to us. So in the future, I think whether it's glasses or a phone, it will get served up to us in a way that's very profitable for Google and Apple and Amazon and the usual suspects, Meta. They are going to be serving this up. They're using our real estate to make, I think 98% of Meta's income is from advertising. So huge money at stake. And again, real estate is the enabler. What we build enables this stuff. We need to have a seat at the table.
Yeah, because we're going to be giving a lot of that data away as people connect in for free.
Well, that's true. They're gathering a whole bunch of data about the humans. I will say this generally about technology. What's happened is that we're getting much better at understanding how humans engage with the physical world. And that's through a variety of different hardware and software. This is yet another way that all this data is getting gathered on individually personalized how we interact with buildings and places. And that is really valuable to these companies, and that they spend a lot of money for that. And again, we should get a piece of it.
And I think you brought up a good point earlier when you talk about real estate. We do have vacancy, in a lot of, retail and an office building, some office space. We have seen close to large events where empty spaces have been rented several times, really specializing to what a person might want to see. Like you can go into a virtual Lego store, but you could also go into that same store with a different app and you could see shoes.
Right.
So we have seen that starting, and people that are, ahead of the curve are leasing that space for these virtual pop-ups.
Yeah, and to make the distinction, this is not the virtual reality world, which was metaverse, which, by the way, the metaverse never really went away. It's just has evolved. So yes, there are these virtual worlds where there's retail and transaction going on. But to your point, you might have a shopping mall that has a big box that's empty. And I just read in today's Wall Street Journal or yesterday's about they're launching an ABBA show in New York City. They're going to do a virtual ABBA, the band. They're going to have live music, but the singers and the performers will be they're not augmented. But anyway, there's a bunch of hardware involved with it. It's sort of like the Michael Jackson show here in town. So they're going to do this, and it's tremendously expensive to build this out. What if we could do these pop-up attractions with any content you can imagine and that would draw people to the real estate, either whether it's a neighborhood, a place, a building. And I suspect Neil's going to talk about that a little bit. That's another opportunity for revenue stream.
I think also in terms of sustainability, like as we think about billboards and putting them up, taking them down, setting up pop-ups, having people go there, I think this just creates two things. One, maybe a better carbon footprint in order to see that. But then two, as far as I view it, opening it up to the community so that more people can attend things versus spending $2,000 for a Taylor Swift concert ticket.
Well, true. It democratizes the experience. It also lowers the cost of doing these things. It lowers the footprint. There's so much upside to this, and that's why it gets exciting. The last thing I'll say, because we have, I think, 5 minutes. Are we doing Q&A? No, we're not doing Q&A. We'll do Q&A later. The other thing is that we recognized, and again, you're going to learn a little bit more about this. How does this work? So you've got Google now controls AdServe that serves everything up to your Google browsers. What does this look like in this 3D internet where it's all around and inside the buildings? So we need a platform. If this is a right, we need to think about how do you claim that right? And do you claim it and then file it with the registry of deeds? No, we've got a high-tech way of doing this. And also then, how does the marketplace work on this? So I don't want to have to get, as a property owner, I don't want to get 100 calls a month about people wanting to do these activations. I don't have time. My marketing department probably doesn't have time. So is there an automated way to do this that is that uses AI and uses blockchain security and things like that? So that's part two of this conversation, which is the mechanism that now exists for us to be able to do that.
So as we wrap up, what's happening in the MIT lab space in this world?
Great question. Well, we're always looking at a lot of cool things. We are looking at augmented reality. We're looking at the intersection of these types of things along with this idea of real estate fracking, which is sort of fractional ownership. So if this does have value, is there a way that potentially you could divvy that up into sort of like a security? I mean, is this sort of like a digital version of a REIT, sort of? Those are the kinds of things we explore, this convergence of different types of technologies and business models, so that certainly in our careers, we're going to see these come out, and our industry is going to change a lot. So we're working on that. And then we're working on materials science and things like that. That's very exciting. That's for another day.
So have you used your metaverse glasses a lot?
I use my metaverse glasses. You know, they translate now.
Yes,
so
I'm heading to Germany next week, and I have them ready. They're charged and ready to go.
I don't know if you've tried this before, but the translation, if you have meta glasses, the translation, this is like witchcraft. This is like witchcraft. I can carry on a conversation with somebody in a different language, and it translates. It's just magical. It's just magical. And then simple things like, asking, what's that tree? And it immediately tells you what kind of tree it is. So the MetaGlass, now I do not have the one, do you have the ones with the augmentation in them yet?
No, not yet.
I don't.
The first version.
No, they are augmented, just to be clear. Yes. It's just that I don't have the ones that have the visual augmentation yet, but those are already here and people are using them.
Yes, I actually went to a garden center, and I would say, what flower is this? And then I would say to my mom, it's this flower, but only because the glasses were telling me. I probably don't know the difference between a rose and a peony.
It makes you sound like a horticulturist.
It does, yes. It makes you a lot smarter.
Yes. So I would encourage everybody, if you get a chance to try them out, they're really cool to use.
I can see at least one person wearing them, right?
Yeah. Do we have somebody with them on in the room?
No? Oh, I thought you had in the pink. I thought you had
Oh, okay. We thought maybe we had somebody. So.
And the cool thing is, at least my son, because he wears prescription glasses, is it will have prescription glasses in it.
I got prescriptions in mine, and they work great.
Okay, good.
So.
I think we're at time. We have like a minute left, so.
Yeah, you do have about 2 minutes left. If we can have one question, if you have it, it's an incredibly fascinating topic. If not, you can save it because the next topic ties into that as well. So if you want to save your questions, I see one here. I'm going to bring you the mic.
We'll get a quick question. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Steve.
Fellow MIT alum. Hi, Stacy.
Yes. So if I wanted to find out if my building is already being used for this, how would I do that?
Yes. So you'll hear about that. You'll hear about that in a moment. There's a new platform that does scanning and can tell you. By the way, we took a look at MIT's campus. About 159 Pokemon, just Pokemons alone, are on campus. And they're concerned. Some of them are in locations that are not great, and others they're kind of okay with it. But even just that, you should know what the heck is going on your buildings, because you might get a mob of kids show up and you have no idea why. So did that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We actually had a building like that where there was so much activity that we've now designated an area. This is in downtown Chicago.
Well, right.
To say you can only do it in this area. We've asserted our rights so that everything that occurs with people is in a particular section of the building.
And then you can manage it. And the city would appreciate that too, rather than having it be a free-for-all. By the way, cities are looking into this as well because they're huge asset owners, but they also control the public spaces. This doesn't have to just, when we're looking at this, it's affiliated with the building, but we're standing in a public space. So there are a lot of other implications for the city and the municipalities as well. So great question. Thank you.
All right, a round of applause,
Is it a wrap?
please,
Okay.
for our Steve Weikal and Karen Whitt.
Thank you.